Happy New Year! It's 2026 and it's a brand new me, and I actually need your guys' help with something. So I know a little bit cringe here, but I'm going to start online dating, and I just thought that, sometimes I get a little carried away with things. So I thought maybe I could tell you guys what my profile looked like, and you could sort of help me make any edits or corrections that might be necessary here. So first off, looking for someone to worship me. Maybe I need to cool that a little bit. Anyway, I'll just go through the whole thing maybe. Yeah. So looking for someone to worship me. Must be submissive and obedient. If things I say don't make sense, seem harmful, dangerous, or just a bad idea, it don't matter. You must be willing to listen to me, because my happiness is your happiness, and your loyalty is your safety. This is the way that cult leaders talk to their people. They demand absolute loyalty and will tell their followers to their face, hey, even if the things that I'm saying don't make any sense, your safety is imperative, and the only way you can be safe is by listening to me. And in any other context, people would just be running away. But if you can convince someone that their safety, their family, their social dynamic, their happiness, their purpose and meaning in life, probably some things I'm missing here off the top of my head, but if you can convince someone that all of those things will be made better if they just listen to you, you can literally tell them anything you want. And in today's video, we are going to examine a talk by Stephen Lett, where he basically says that dating profile to his people, and no doubt they're just going to eat this up. So let's talk about it. Hello and welcome back to the JW Thoughts channel. My name is Wally, and today we are looking at a talk by one Stephen Lett. There are some themes in here that sounded very familiar, so I think he's been rewriting this little script or talk that he's working on. But this one is completely unhinged, so stick around for it. Don't forget to drop a like on the video. It really helps it out to more people on YouTube and is very much appreciated by me. Consider subscribing if you're not. With all of that being said, let's talk about how Jehovah is all wise. And for those that don't know ball, whenever the governing body say Jehovah, they're basically meaning themselves, because they are just an extension or a representation of God.
Now, the theme for my discussion is Jehovah alone is wise. Nothing is beyond his grasp or understanding. He is the only complete repository of knowledge, understanding, and wisdom in the universe. Now, others, of course, can be wise, but in a relative sense. And the depth of their wisdom is directly proportional to how closely it relates to Jehovah's thinking. And whenever so-called wisdom contradicts Jehovah's wisdom, it's really foolishness.
So someone's capacity for wisdom is directly correlated to how closely they are following what Jehovah's thoughts are. How do you know what Jehovah's thoughts are? This guy has to tell you. So what he's saying, literally, is how close you think like me is how wise of a person you can be. So let's move on so we can see. Before you have to pee or drink some tea, I'm done for me. That was ass.
But now let's discuss two examples of Jehovah's superior wisdom versus the fake so-called wisdom of this world. Now, our first example is our scripture text for today, Matthew 18:16. On the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses, every matter may be established. Now, elaborating on this wise principle here, the Watchtower some time ago said this: at least 2 witnesses are required to establish a charge of wrongdoing. If the person denies the charge, and your testimony is the only one, the matter will be left in Jehovah's hands. This is done in the knowledge that all things are openly exposed to Jehovah, and that if the person is guilty, eventually his sins will catch up with him. But now we ask, does Satan's world adhere to this wise principle from the one who is wise alone? To the contrary. In fact, many are convicted at the mouth of one witness or even no witnesses. Circumstantial evidence.
This tater-tossing riggedy old piece of crap is about to piss me off. So first off, the 2-witness rule. The last video I uploaded on the channel was an hour-long deep dive video about the problem of CSA within the Jehovah's Witness and I really wanted to focus on the cultural aspects because I feel like that's something that isn't talked about as much. Something that is talked about more often is their direct policies. In specific, this 2-witness rule. I did cover it in that video, so if you're looking for a video about that, you can check that one out, but it's not really what I'm going to focus on in this video specifically. But I did want to laugh at Stephen Lett for this because God might be wise, but he is a moron. It's unbelievable. So he's talking about the superiority of this 2-witness rule and how glorious it is, which is not true at all. Leads to some really heinous criminal activity within the Jehovah's Witness organization. But then he's saying Satan's system. Oh, sometimes they will falsely accuse someone based off of circumstantial evidence. Can you believe that? Someone would use circumstantial evidence to convict someone of a crime? Consider an example in which judicial action would be warranted. A married brother spends an inordinate amount of time with his female secretary after work hours, but insists there is no romantic interest. His concerned wife informs the elders, who give him strong counsel. Later, when he claims to be leaving overnight for a business trip, his suspicious wife and a relative follow him to the secretary's home. They observe the secretary, invite him inside at 10 p.m. and continue watching all night until he leaves the home at 7 a.m. When the elders speak to him, he admits that he spent the night with his secretary, but he denies he committed adultery. In such a case, the elders have a basis to take judicial action because there is strong circumstantial evidence of porneia, and there may be elements of brazen conduct. The innocent mate's conscience may allow her to divorce him and remarry, blah, blah, blah. Right there. They are willing to look at circumstantial evidence, someone that might just be denying that they're guilty. He's going to go and talk now about how many people are in prison that, deny that they are guilty, and giving like statistics and things about that. But here's an instance where they are willing to look at circumstantial evidence, because sometimes that circumstantial evidence, it kind of tells the whole story, doesn't it? Like, to try and paint this as something that people that are stupid and foolish in Satan's world would do, while simultaneously having a secret elders book that normal Jehovah's Witnesses aren't privy to, where they allow for circumstantial evidence to be used because, duh, sometimes that is like blatantly obvious. You don't need to see the penis go into the vagina to be like, yeah, that guy is really screwing his secretary. Like, let's just keep it a buck and a stack. So it's just so baffling to me how he can have this duplicitousness. Is that a word? Duplicity, I think is the word I'm looking for. Where he can just, in one sphere of his brain, know that, this exists in the Elders Manual. This is a circumstance that they talk about in like videos and training modules for elders. It's a very common one that they use. He has that in one sphere. And then on the other sphere, he's like, can you believe Satan's system? And they're looking at circumstantial evidence. That's absolutely ridiculous. This guy is fascinating.
In this vein, there's one researcher in an article recently in the Chicago Tribune. Here's what he said in this regard. He said, "It is too easy to convict an innocent person The rate of wrongful convictions in the United States is estimated to be somewhere between 2 and 10%. That may sound low, but when applied to an estimated prison population of 2.3 million, the numbers become staggering. Can there really be 46,000 to 230,000 innocent people locked away? Those of us who are involved in exoneration work firmly believe so. And then he discusses some of the factors that cause this to happen, such as having no witnesses or having, of course, a false witness.
So, this goofball looks at the American injustice system, which is a very complicated thing that there's a lot to dive into, and obviously he's not giving us a TED Talk about that. But he's looking at something where, you mention anything. A person's socioeconomic status can, like a straight line can be drawn between that and like time served. Like, what is this person standing within the community? Who are they influential over? How much money do they have? What type of team of lawyers can they assemble? And how does that correlate to what they get sentenced to, what they get convicted of versus, just an average regular Joe Schmo or someone that grows up poor? And that is like going to be a pretty interesting indicator of the injustice system here in America. But dude is like, what the real problem is with the American injustice system? It's that they don't have a two-witness rule like we do. If only we had a two-witness rule, man, our prison all of these false convictions would just disappear. Like, I think he actually believes that. This man genuinely believes that if there were a two-witness rule like the Jehovah's Witnesses have, that there wouldn't be as many false convictions. What a strange man.
Well, Jehovah's wise two-witness principle greatly minimized wrong convictions among his ancient people. And it greatly minimizes erroneous decisions among his people today. Now, of course, we're not saying that two witnesses cannot frame mischief and jointly give false testimony, but that's a rare occurrence. And we're not saying that if there's only one witness and the accused denies the accusation, that the one witness is lying. We're not saying that. But Jehovah says, leave it in his hands.
So in the absence of two witness testimonies, not being able to triangulate what sort of crime potentially happened, their advice, their wisdom, is to sit on their hands and do nothing. Leave it in Jehovah's hands. Now, I'm not one to be old Scrooge McDuck out here ruining Christmas for everyone, but correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like it's been a really, really, really long time that Jehovah's hands have been actively involved in human affairs. Like, when's the last time there was a miracle, even according to Jehovah's Witnesses? I now pronounce you man and wife in this holy matrimony. May God bless you.
Oh God! Someone's asking you for some blessings! What is it? A marriage? You know if I blessed every marriage, I'd be like blessing every tadpole or minnow. There are trillions of them things. Oh, ignore.
12 seconds later.
Why? What's so wrong with me? You won't even look at me anymore. I told you I'm trying to lose the baby weight. What, do you not love me anymore? Just
bitch.
tell me, just tell me.
It's because you're just like your mother. You never listen. I meant it, but I didn't mean it. You know what? We need God, okay? Let's just pray together, okay? Let's just pray. Dear Father, Lord, Jesus, Guy, please, our marriage
Oh God!
apart.
Someone's facing some marriage problems. I think they might need a blessing. Oh, What do I look like? Dr. freaking Phil? They can sort that out with a shrink. I am too busy around here. Ignore.
Many months later.
Please, if you're up there, please. Please. I just want everyone to be okay. I know I'm not perfect. I know I've made mistakes, but please. I just need for my family to be okay. I just need to be okay. Please.
Hey, yo, God! Someone's kid is in a hospital. I think they can really use a blessing. Yeah, I don't really have a good excuse, but I ain't gonna do anything. Oh, hell yeah! A new season of the Cooking Baking Celebrity Christmas Cake Bake-Off. Hell yeah, let's go!
On your marks. Get set.
He doesn't really seem to be actively involved in what's going on here. And if he is, I got even more questions. So this is a really interesting little subplot here. But let's get to the real the entree here.
But now let's move to our second example of this wisdom from Jehovah, the one who is wise alone. And it's found at Hebrews 13:17, which says, "Be obedient to those taking the lead among you, and be submissive." But we ask, as a whole, do people in Satan's world live up to this godly principle? Do they conscientiously endeavor to not only be obedient, but also submissive, which means yielding with a good attitude toward parents, teachers, employers, policemen, their political leaders? To the contrary. In fact, they will often, many of them, will riot, they will demonstrate, they will protest against anything that rubs them the wrong way. And this has resulted in the divided world all around us.
So, just in my head, when I think about things like, what does it take to be a cult leader? Like, what goes on inside that allows that to happen? And something that I really think, I guess this might not be an objective truth or anything, but I feel like you need an ability to diminish what other people care about. Like anything, any emotion or idea or concern that another person might have that doesn't directly align with what you see. You have to I think you have to have this superhuman ability to just squash it and diminish it and pretend like it's nothing. And that's what I'm hearing when he says that. People will riot in the streets and protest about anything. About anything? Not really, dude. Like when you look at what causes people to like riot and protest and things like that, it's usually derived from passion, and that passion can probably be summed down to a couple different categories just off the top of the dome here. Economic. That is going to be a major one throughout all of world history. If there is a disproportionate distribution of the resources available, that's going to lead to some rioting and some problems. It's just history repeats itself over and over and over again in that regard. Or it's about some type of injustice. If it's to a group of people, or, it might just be an individual who is aligned or an ally with someone or a group of people that are experiencing a disproportionate carrying out of justice. And when you see that, when you see a group or minority or whatever the case is getting unfair treatment, it pisses you off because you think, no, I want to live in a world that's fair, because what if that was me? Well, I don't want to live in a world where just because of how tall I am, how straight my teeth are, how good my vision is, just some arbitrary random thing plucked out of nowhere is going to dictate how I am treated in the eyes of law enforcement or the government or society at large. And this guy can take something that's, I don't think that's horribly like a nuance. You don't have to be a very intelligent person or a socially intelligent person to work this out. And he just says, people will protest and riot about anything, won't they? I'm always bitching about something. That's just like, it diminishes what other people are passionate and care about, to like straw man, maybe not straw man them, but to really reinforce what he is going to say, that, oh yes, these are the real issues here. So it's just, anyway, that's a interesting little thing about that I often think about. Like, what does it take to be a good cult leader? And I think that is one of them. Maybe that's a little sparkle of evidence. Maybe I'm grasping at straws. You're here grasping at straws with me, though, so I don't know what this was. Like I'm your grandma. Okay, Timmy, don't stop grasping at straws with a weird man on the internet. I don't know. Went on an internet detox, and I'm feeling lucid.
I'm feeling fat and sassy.
But Jehovah's people really trying to live up to this godly principle has resulted in tremendous unity in our families, in our congregations, in our worldwide organization. And it's vital that each of us try to improve in this area of being obedient, submissive to husbands, to parents, to the elders, to the faithful and discreet slave. An additional reason to improve is that undoubtedly those taking the lead today will be used in the near future by Jehovah through these ones taking the lead again to give life or death instructions to his people. For example, instructions concerning the cry of peace and security, instructions concerning delivering the hailstone message, instructions concerning entering the inner rooms until the wrath is passed by, mentioned in Isaiah 26:20, as just a few examples. And our pattern of being obedient will move us to obey and be submissive, even if we don't understand, even if the direction doesn't seem to make sense to us from a human standpoint. But we'll remember this pattern of being obedient, that Jehovah often does direct the unexpected to be done. He often directs something that doesn't make sense from a human standpoint, especially in times of deliverance and judgment. Jehovah often uses shock and awe, doesn't he? So our pattern of being obedient, we'll go ahead and be obedient.
Now, there's a lot of ways I could have made that joke at the beginning here with the dating profile, but I chose that one just because of kind of how it relates to the Jehovah's Witnesses and how they get people involved in their group. These aren't the things that they will tell you off rip. Then when they come knocking on your door, they're standing on a street corner and you go and chat with them. They're not going to start blinking a lot and just saying the word obedience until they forget what they're even saying. They're just saying the word obedience so much. They're not going to tell you that, no, we have to listen to a group of men in New York City, even if it doesn't make sense, even if we don't like it, even if it, means that we have to cut off our families, it doesn't matter what it is. Whatever it is, we know that we will be kept safe if we are loyal and obedient to those men. That's never going to be the sales pitch. And it's a little bit like a relationship. People aren't going to put that out there, right? That, oh man, just want to let you know, I'm a horrible, toxic person, and your life is going to be miserable when you're with me. I'm going to be demanding. You're going to have to follow all of these ridiculous, arbitrary rules that don't make sense, but hey, they make me happy, so you need to do it, or I'll make your life hell. You can trust that you will be miserable if I'm miserable. So you keep me happy and I'll keep you happy. You get what I'm saying? No one's going to say that. And so I found it really interesting how just freely that now that they're in the relationship, now that, he's talking to Bethelites, this is a morning worship talk. It's something that's broadcast to all of their little world headquarter hubs all around the world. This is something that just is going to be more exclusively for them, and if it's approved, they'll upload it onto their website. But in general, this isn't going to be a forward-facing message. But once people are in the relationship with the Jehovah's Witnesses and the governing body, how freely they're able to talk in this way, and it is terrifying to hear from the outside. Like, if you don't know, if you've never been a Jehovah's Witness, just have family members, or like you dated someone once that was a little weird and they mentioned that they were raised as a witness, you're like, man, and you're watching this video, like, I imagine like it's just like an eye-opening experience to just see how freely he can say the words, "We need to have obedience to these elders and the governing body, even if things are just don't make any sense." And then spouting off, what about when it comes to the cry of peace and security? That is a doctrine that the Jehovah's Witnesses continue to change as the years go along. It's evolved even further here in recent weeks. The hailstone message, that is another doctrine that has evolved over time. It's constantly been changing. Something about hiding in some inner room. I'll be honest with you there, pal. I don't know what you're cooking up in your brain. But he has all of these biblical phraseologies and ideas, and in his mind, they're real. But those things can change at any moment in time. And a Jehovah's Witness has to believe that the old way was what God wanted and the new way is what God wanted, even if those two things are diametrically opposed, which they often are, which means that it's not following God, an unchanging God who is sure and has prophesied these things to happen for thousands of years. No, you're following this guy. This is the person that you have to have blind obedience to. So I suppose ask yourself, if you saw Stephen Lett's dating profile and heard this little snippet, would you be like, I mean, his pinky ring's kind of cool.
That's because you know what I can do with my little finger.
But now here's an example. Do you remember when Jehovah directed Jehoshaphat to go out against an enemy army, powerful army? And he told the Levite singers to march in front of the Israelite soldiers. Now, from a human standpoint, that seemed like suicidal battle strategy, didn't it? But what was the result of obedience? When they got where the enemy army was, they were all dead. Jehovah had thrown them into confusion. They had annihilated one another. Or think of Jehovah's instructions to the liberated Israelites from Egypt when Pharaoh was pursuing them. Jehovah told them to turn and head straight toward the Red Sea. Now again, that seemed like suicidal strategy, with the Israelites ending up trapped between the Red Sea and Pharaoh. But what was the result of obedience? They were able to safely traverse the Red Sea when the waters parted. And then when the Egyptians tried to follow, Jehovah closed the waters, drowning every one of them like trapped rats. So our obedience to direction from Jehovah's organization should not be dependent on whether we understand or even agree, but we spontaneously obey from the heart.
I think spontaneously obey is the best way of putting it. If I was trying to what is the right terminology to use for what Jehovah's Witnesses need to do or are required to do, I think spontaneous obedience really sums it up, because it is an unthinking obedience. It is removing yourself from your emotions and your emotional intelligence. All gut feeling, all of that goes by the way. They just want you to have this boom, because if there's any gap or lapse there for you to think about what they're saying, think about what direction they're going, what is it that this dude is saying, you might just start picking it apart and see it for what it is. A big old lie, a big old fib, a good old gotcha. So yeah, I really found this talk to be interesting. Again, I heard some of the examples and things that he gives sound very similar, but I couldn't remember if this is like a direct talk or if maybe it's just a script that he's been working on. Not 100% sure, but hey, we're back here uploading videos. I took a pretty long little internet break, just completely disconnected, sort of hit the little refresh, optimize my drivers and all of that good stuff. So I feel good. I feel clear. I feel healthy, and all of those are good things. So yeah, here's to 2026, and yeah, we'll see what happens. Anyway, thank you guys so much for sticking around. Stay safe, be kind, Now go out there. Wait, no, I fucked up the outro. It has been so long. Wait, okay, let me try this again. With all of that being said, stay safe, be kind, and don't forget to spend more time loving the things you love than hating the things you hate. And additionally, you can remember that the real fountain of youth is curiosity. So if you are learning, if you are thinking, if you are growing as a person, you're kind of fighting age. At least that's how I like to think about it in my over-romanticization of simple concepts, because that's what keeps me going. That and coffee. I'll see you guys next time. Have a good ass day. Bye.